Hey guys, what's up? Insectlord BBG 101 here with a Lightsworn-Zombie link format deck profile for y'all. That being said, because of a lack of time, otherwise I'll just go straight into it. First off, starting with the Lightsworn engine, we have two copies of Raiden, Lightsworn, the Hand. It's a level 4 Light Warrior tuner with 1700 attack, and once per turn during your main phase, you are allowed to mill the top two cards of your deck, which is really powerful considering it's a level 4 tuner, as high attack, and the fact that it's during the main phase. From there, playing one copy of Lumina Lightsworn Summoner, because it's just a really good Lightsworn. Only hindrance I find usually is the fact that it is a level 3 with low attack. Otherwise, it's just a name and a good form of revival otherwise. From there, because hello, this is Lightsworn's got to play 3 copies of Wolf Lightsworn Beast, because if it's sent from the deck to the graveyard by any means whatsoever, whether it be a Lightsworn Mill effect, Foolish Burial, or even Brilliant Fusion if you do so desire to play that instead of something like Trick Clown or anything really, then the fact of the matter is that you can just special summon it. From there, gotta play that ultimate rare first dead Italian no-name misprint copy of your Back Row Destroyer with 1700 attack. That's actually it for the Lightsworns. From there, playing one of the 2 best zombies in the entire game, Shiranui Solitaire, and 3 copies of Mizuki. Following that, we have 2 copies of Zombie. I prefer to play 2 instead of 3 because 3 is rather cloggy, and if you open it up with something else like a Solitaire, obviously you're going to be going for the Solitaire before you go for the Zombie, because that way you can conserve this in hand, and likewise you actually can set yourself up with the next card, Spectral Sword, because Spectral Sword, if it's in your graveyard, except during the turn that it was sent there, you can banish itself as well as a non-tuner zombie monster, and special summon 1 zombie type synchro monster from your extra deck. It is not a synchro summon though. But from there you would summon the Samurai Saga from that, and if you're banishing a copy of Solitaire with it, Solitaire will special summon the Spectral Sword back, allowing for a 2-card Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon play, in addition to whatever you already have on board. And then 1 copy of Spirit Master, because whenever it's normal summon, you get to special summon 1 Shiranui monster from your hand or graveyard, except Spirit Master, although that's not a concern because you're playing the 1 copy. And from there, it's banished whenever it leaves the field. Although more often than not, I find myself using Xyz's place for that, so it doesn't really matter too much. From there, playing the 1 copy of Goblinberg, and the 1 copy of Trick Clown, because Trick Clown, if milled or sent to the graveyard in general, by any means whatsoever, you get to take 1000 damage and special summon it with its attack and defense points becoming 0. Because I'm playing a Brilliant Fusion engine, playing Lightsworn Lazuli and Garnet, I'd be playing 2 Lazulis if I had Hiroko, but that's not really a concern right now. From there, last but not least, we have your 1-card Decode Talker, which is just, this card's too broke and shouldn't have ever existed because of its relevance and so many decks that keep them alive. And that's it for the monsters. From there, in the spells, we have 3 copies of Solar Recharge, 2 copies of Charge of the Light Brigade, because drawing and milling and searching power is very vital to this deck, including through the use of Brilliant Fusion, because it allows you to get 2 effect monsters on board, or set yourself up with some other plays, really. Getting you an additional normal summon, all that bullcrap. It's amazing. From there, despite popular opinion, I'm playing 2 copies of Pot of Desires because of the fact that while this is a 40-card deck and I'm not playing back Raslook Screener as such, and that being said, it's not pure Lightsworns. I'm not afraid of milling certain cards, and if I banish my Brilliant Fusions or my Garnier or my Lazuli, tough luck for me, but I also have some of the discard outlets, as well as playing Foolish Burial, 1 Soul Charge, and then probably the best trap card to play in a deck like this is 2 copies of Lost Wind, because if you mill it and your opponent special summons a monster from their extra deck, you can just set it back to your side of the field, and by next turn you'll be able to play it, but it's banished whenever it is removed from the field by that point. However, if you don't have a target like Mizuki to return to the graveyard using the effect of Psyframe Lord Omega, you can always choose Lost Wind instead. That would be it for the 40-card main deck. Going into the 15-card extra deck, we have 1 copy of Decode Talker, and 2 copies of Link Spider because you summon Gofu, and this time around you'll actually summon the tokens because that gives you 2 Link Spiders. You'll summon the first one to your extra monster zone, and then use this linked area in order to summon the second one. Send those to the graveyard as well as Gofu in order to summon the Decode Talker. From there, 1 fusion monster, no more Norton unfortunately, but instead Gem Knight Seraphonite. Moving on to the synchros, you have 1 level 6 Samurai Saga, and I choose that instead of the Archfiend Zombie Skull or whatever it's called. It's basically the zombie synchro form of Summon Skull that has the effect in which zombie type monsters you control cannot be destroyed via card effects, and it's really powerful except one problem. That's not going to be really applicable because you're just going to go straight into Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon if you're going into that pretty much. Plus, I find that in an offensive and defensive stance, this card's just that much better. From there, 1 level 7 Black Rose Dragon, because board wipes are really good, especially in a zombie deck because of cards like Mizuki, or even the Spectral Sword if it wasn't already in there beforehand. And that being said, you can just go ham from there. Likewise, because of going ham is stupid in this deck, I'm playing 3 copies of Cyframe Lord Omega, because 2 just doesn't cut it for me, because I like to pull 3 cards from my opponent's hand, return 3 cards back to my graveyard if the situation calls for it. Likewise, the fact that they return into a main monster zone rather than the extra monster zone or a linked zone from Decode Talker, that's just amazing in itself. From there, as mentioned previously, we have the 1 copy of Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. And that's it for the synchros. Moving on to the Exceeds, playing 1 copy of Bujente Tsukiyomi because you send your entire hand to the graveyard to draw 2 cards, and if you have Lightsworns or Zombies in hand that you want engraved, or even a Trick Clown, something like that, then you pitch it, and you get pluses on both ends. From there, if I had the Hiroko, I'd be playing Kakasuchi, but because I don't, I'm playing 1 copy of Abyss Dweller because it's honestly one of my favorite rank 4s that's a generic in the entire game, aside from the Utopia package, obviously. And from there, because I invested in it already, playing a super rare copy of Minerva, the Exalted Lightsworn, the one that actually says Graveyard rather than GY. It's like, I obviously have the secret rares, I have 2 copies, but hey, if you have a super rare, show it off. As for a side deck, it's really flexible. You can, I would say, play stuff like Third Twin Twisters, maybe Cosmic Cyclones, Anti-Spells, Imperial Order, but my favorite part to side deck that I was main decking until I got the rest of the cards I need to complete the main deck, like the Brilliant Fusions and whatnot, was going ahead and playing a Kaiju engine in the main deck, a 5-card Kaiju engine, the Thunder Strike Kaiju with 3300 attack, as well as 1 copy of Gamma Seal with 2200 attack and Kumongus with 2400 attack, as well as the 2 spells. Because even if you milled the spells on your next turn, you can banish it from your graveyard in order to add a Kaiju from your deck to your hand. And if you really wanted to, once again, like Lost Wind, you could return to the graveyard and do the same thing over again. And the main reason why I removed that from the main deck, aside from the fact that I didn't want to play a 45-card deck and the lack of what else I would remove for it, is because I played the Brilliant Fusion engine in favor of it for testing purposes. And so far, while the Kaiju engine is extremely powerful, and whenever it comes to Pop Desires is less risky, I prefer the option that you've seen here, and why I opt to put him in my side deck, because it still is very much applicable, just not always that applicable. Although I will say the other argument for going ahead and playing them in the main deck instead is if you go ahead and tribute an opponent's monster that's in their extra monster zone, or more so, if they have something like Decode Talker out, you can go ahead and tribute their extract monster or a monster in general and put the Kaiju in one of their linked zones, so that wastes one of their spots. Of course, in time that won't be as applicable as we get more and more link monsters that could possibly be used for these Kaijus. And that being said, that will suck, but for now, it's great. So, if you have any questions or comments that you would like to make, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And a like and a subscribe would be greatly appreciated. Peace out.